One strong partnership between US President Donald Trump and tech billionaire Elon Musk has now dissolved into a bitter public battle in the past 24 hours. We tell you how it all unfolded.
Now, the Trump-Musk breakup is truly something that needs to be studied. One strong partnership between US President Donald Trump and tech billionaire Elon Musk dissolved into a very bitter public feud in the past 24 hours. Let me tell you how it all unfolded. Their very nasty, very public breakup started in the Oval Office here. This is where Trump was meeting with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. Trump told reporters that he was very disappointed in Elon Musk in his first public comments about the tech billionaire's social media tirade against his big, beautiful bill. That's where it all started. He said Musk was upset because his administration took the EV mandate, which he said was a lot of money for electric vehicles. Sharing a link of the video, Musk replied with a whatever. As you can see here, keep the EV solar incentive cuts in the bill, even though no oil and gas subsidies are touched. Very unfair. These are the comments by Musk in response to that video. He shared another of Trump's video from the Oval Office in which he can be heard saying that Musk knew the inner workings of the bill better than anyone else there. The tech billionaire called the claims false. Again, false. This bill was never shown to me even once, and in fact was passed in the dead of the night so fast that almost no one in Congress could even read it. That's what Musk is saying. He also called out Trump's claim that he would have won Pennsylvania regardless of Musk. He countered the US president, saying that without him, Trump would have lost the election altogether. Democrats would have won control and the House Republicans would be 51 to 49 in the Senate. That's what he was saying. So he's saying that without me, Trump would have lost the election. So to that, Trump retaliated to the series of posts on X on his Truth Social network. So it's playing out in the Oval Office, Truth Social, as well as X, claiming that he asked him to leave. The US president said that he took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electrics, and that made him crazy. Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy. This is what Trump is saying. Musk called it an obvious lie and added that it was just so sad. Such an obvious lie. So sad. That's what he's saying. Trump did not stop there. He threatened Musk's massive government contracts. On Truth Social, he said the easiest way to save money in budget, and billions of billions at that, is to terminate Musk's governmental subsidies and contracts. So you can see how all of this is playing out in real time on social media. He said that it is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden did not do it. This triggered Musk to drop what he called the really big bomb. He said that Trump is in the Epstein files, and that is the real reason that it has not been made public. So this is where things start to get more personal as well. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, Donald J. Trump. This is what Elon Musk said in response to that. Also, in reply to the president's statement about cancellation of his government contracts, he announced that the SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. So that's what he said. In light of president's statements about the cancellation of my government contracts, SpaceX will begin decommissioning its Dragon spacecraft immediately. However, he would then go on to not do it in a response to another post by which a user called this back and forth a shame and asked both Trump and Musk to cool off and perhaps take a step back. He said, good advice. Okay, we won't decommission the Dragon. So he, of course, retracted that earlier statement. Trump said that he does not mind Musk turning towards him, adding he should have done so months ago. Musk has also pinned a poll to his X profile on whether he should now form a new political party, one that actually represents the 80% middle class. Now, this was Donald Trump's first tweet that came before this statement. He said, I don't mind Elon Musk turning against me. He should have done this months ago. This was one of the greatest bills ever presented to the Congress. It's a record cut in expenses, $1.6 trillion. And the biggest tax cut ever given. If this bill doesn't pass, there will be a 68% tax increase and things will be far worse than that. I didn't create this mess. I'm just here to fix it. This puts our country on a path of greatness. Make America great again. So then, coming back to the poll that is now pinned on Elon Musk's profile as well, where he said that maybe he should now form a new political party that actually represents the 80% of the middle class. This poll has got over 4.3 million votes in 13 hours, with 81% in favor of this. However, this crossfire cost Musk a bomb. In a few hours, over $100 billion were wiped off of Tesla's value. So this is how this Musk and Trump breakup is playing out in real time. We are seeing the repercussions of this, how things unfold going forward. That is, of course, that remains to be seen.
We're now being joined by Greg Swenson, Chairman, Republicans Overseas, UK Foreign Affairs Analyst and also an economist. Welcome to WION, Mr. Swenson. First up, this political alliance was one of its kind, a bromance now turned into a battle. How do you see the situation spiraling out, and also who does it hurt the most?
Yeah, all good questions. I think there's a chance that it spirals or continues to spiral. I think we were all disappointed that it sort of went nuclear yesterday. What was some disagreements, turned into a rather public spat. But on the other hand, I do think there's a chance that they kiss and make up. I do think that Elon Musk has probably more to lose than the president. I don't think the bill, the so-called big, beautiful bill, I don't think that's vulnerable at this point. It's still sitting in the Senate. There's a lot of pressure in the Senate for greater spending reductions, which is what Elon Musk was complaining about. And many of us conservatives agreed with that. But we also understand that there has to be compromise. We don't have enough votes. We'll surely get no Democrat votes for any kind of spending cuts. So if there's any vulnerability, any movement in the House, there's a chance that some of the more moderate Republicans, especially that are from Democrat states, would vote against the bill, but would vote against additional spending cuts. So, there is some vulnerability there for the president. It's important that he gets this bill across the finish line. But on the other hand, Elon Musk has great exposure to these, the removal of the subsidies, as you mentioned in your prologue. And also, not often discussed is the fact that in addition to the subsidies for electric vehicles and the mandates for EVs, he's also completely dependent on China for inputs. And so the president has been historically, aggressive with China. He's called out China for their unfair trade practices for 8 or 10 years now. And I think that's not really well aligned with Elon Musk's interests, given that he's completely dependent on China for inputs, especially around Tesla.
Mr. Swenson, you speak of how Musk is at the receiving end of this online spat between Musk and Trump. I want to ask you on how Musk has claimed that Trump is in the Epstein files. Do you think that Trump will be compelled to release the files?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it's probably important for President Trump, given the number of people that might be in there. I mean, it could be even, President Bill Clinton, and it could be some, big bankers that were affiliated with Epstein. But, the Epstein, that affiliation with Trump or relationship with Trump is kind of old news. I mean, it's very public that they were friends at one point, like many big businessmen were at the time. But President Trump, actually had Epstein removed from the membership at Mar-a-Lago. And so, he's been very clear about that. So I don't think there's any vulnerability there. And by the way, if the Democrats, if there was any chance that there's information in the Epstein files that would damage President Trump, I assure you the Democrats would have leaked it already, because they've had that information for years, or at least some of that information for years. And look, they did the lawfare, the weaponization of the justice system, and we had assassination attempts. The Democrats have done everything to ruin President Trump. Believe me, if there was anything in those files, they would have been leaked already.
Mrs. Swenson, you do speak of, we've been talking here about the Epstein files. Talk to us more about how this spat between Trump and Musk has rather thrown up some serious questions that also arises around Trump's economic policy?
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And look, I think Elon Musk was complaining about the lack of spending cuts. But again, as I mentioned, it's difficult to get massive spending cuts through, especially on entitlements, like Social Security and Medicaid. Those are non-discretionary spending items. So Elon went after the discretionary spending and found quite a bit to cut, in close to 180 billion in savings. But it's really the non-discretionary spending that has to be addressed. Now, if this bill fails, the problem is, even if it's imperfect, even if there's not enough spending reductions to satisfy those of us on the conservative right, if this thing fails, that it results in a major tax increase, which will do quite a bit of economic damage. The tax cuts, when they were first instituted in 2017, and we're hoping to extend now with this bill, those ended up creating a great economic conditions. Not only did you have GDP growth, but you had significant wage growth, and tax revenues actually went up. We are raising tax receipts 50% higher than we were in 2017. So, this tax cut works. And if you look at the tax cuts, the deregulation, and even some of the corrections in trade imbalances, you're going to see a significant windfall and significant, not only economic, but more importantly, wage growth. And so that will ultimately,
Right.
result in higher tax receipts.
All right, Mr. Swenson, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
here
you.
on WION The World with your insights.
Thanks for having me.